Changing Lanes, the official podcast of BMW.
Welcome to this episode of Changing Lanes, the official podcast of BMW. My name is Sarah.
And my name is Jonathan.
And today in the podcast, we're hopping into a time machine to revisit 90 years of the BMW kidney grille.
A BMW without a kidney grille? I mean, it's almost unthinkable. It's iconic. I mean, just look at its unmistakable shape. Very few BMW models in history didn't have a kidney grille, the most famous one being the classic Isetta design. Oh, and if you want to learn more about the Isetta and its story, give episode 19 a listen. But let's get back to the kidney grille.
Yes, originally, Jonathan, the kidney grille had just one function, which was letting air to the radiator. It's simple enough, right? But as new propulsion technologies are evolving and the cooling function becomes less important, there's a bunch of new design options for the kidney grille. So it's a constant evolution. So are you ready? Are you ready for a journey through BMW kidney grille history?
Yes, let's do it. All right. So let's go way, way back in time to 1933. So back then, the BMW 303 represented a milestone in actually two respects. Number one, the midsize sedan was BMW's first six-cylinder model.
Not bad. One of many to follow.
Exactly. And number two, it was the first vehicle to bear the hallmark kidney grille. Now, although radiator grilles divided by a center bar was nothing new, BMW went the extra mile and placed the logo between the upper arches and rounded the top and bottom of the grille, giving it that unmistakable BMW look. And voila! You got the first ever kidney grille.
All the way back in 1933.
Exactly. All right, let's hop back into our time machine and shoot ourselves about 23 years forward to 1956, the year BMW came out with the BMW 503.
Yeah, now this four-seater dropped the towering radiators of the 1930s and opted for a medium-height, fully chrome-plated pair of kidney shapes. Now, this design looked like total perfection, if you ask me.
Stunning. And this smaller format was also made possible because the kidney grille was now no longer the only component used to cool the engine. It was supported in this function by two side air inlets, which kept things cool under the hood. Same actually goes for the BMW 501 and 502 that launched before it.
All right, let's not get back into our time machine just yet, because another kidney grille that's worth mentioning also came from the year 1956, and that is the BMW 507. It was clearly ahead of its sister model in terms of progressive design. This roadster was the very first BMW to feature two large, horizontally positioned air intakes, and this was totally groundbreaking at the time.
Most definitely. I mean, even the car's creator, Count Albrecht von Goetz.
What a legend. I mean, that man alone deserves his own podcast episode.
Exactly. He took his creative license and he totally ran with it, something that BMW designers wouldn't do again until the 1990s. Such large air intakes were, in fact, they were a necessity of the BMW 507, reason being that they were the only source of fresh air for the radiator of the V8 engine.
Yes, but that is not the only noteworthy design feature. The 507 was BMW's first model to feature a dynamically angled front known as the shark nose. This visually extends the hood and suggests a formidable forward thrust. Now, the shark nose design set the bar for the new class of the 1960s, and it characterized the vehicles of the 3, 5, and 7 series well into the 1990s.
Amazing. So I'm guessing that Count Albrecht von Goetz and the design team were really ahead of their time.
Yes, they were.
Okay, let's zip on forward in time 5 years and make a pit stop in 1961 with the BMW 1500. Now, just as we were speaking about the new class back in 1956, these mid-range models were a huge turning point, technically, commercially, and also in terms of the brand-typical design of a BMW.
Yeah, the two kidneys of the BMW 1500 and its sister models were similar to those of the BMW 503 from 1956, but they were narrower than on all previous BMW models, and they were placed between two horizontal grilles.
Amazing. So new arrangement, new look, new feel.
Exactly.
Yeah. So with this new arrangement of primary and secondary air grills, this forms the blueprint for the front-end design for BMW's core models right into the 1980s. So if you look at the front of an E30, that's where its grille design comes from.
And speaking of the future, let's hop back into our time machine and stop off in 1978, which is when bell bottoms were all the rage, and the BMW M1 became a legend when it comes to the design of the kidney grille.
Awesome. Yes, Sarah. For obvious reasons, only ultra-flat air inlets were considered for its long front section. But, giving up on the brand identifying character of the kidney grills was out of the question. That's why they are the smallest ever seen on a BMW.
I wonder how Count Albrecht von Goertz felt about that.
Who knows?
And not to forget, what's significant is that they're flanked by pop-up headlights, one of my favorite features.
Yeah, and those pop-ups sure do look cool.
They do, they do.
And, this BMW M1 kidney grille design was echoed into the design of later niche models. For example, the BMW Z1 in 1988 and also the BMW 8 Series of 1989. Oh, and speaking of zipping into the future, let's make our way to 1990 with the BMW 3 Series.
Okay, so not only are we leaping ahead in time, but we're also leaping ahead in evolution. The kidney grille of the third generation of the BMW 3 Series, also known as E36, is flat and horizontal, but not very wide. So unlike past generations of the 3 Series, the two halves of the radiator grille ensemble were separated once again. I actually never really paid attention to this, but if you look at the first two 3 Series generations, their kidneys are actually connected, and that changed with the E36.
Oh, fascinating. And, that's not the only big change. The two kidneys weren't separated anymore from the headlight strips by other grills, but only by surfaces in the body color. So this design was a huge influence on future models from the 1990s and onwards, for example, like the 7 and the 5 Series.
Not to mention the Z3, the next generation of the 3 Series, and the first two generations of the X5.
Exactly. So, you could say that the kidney grills of the third generation 3 Series had a huge influence on BMW design in the 90s.
Yes, you could say that, Jonathan. Okay, sticking with the BMW 3 Series, but blasting us through to the 21st century, we land in 2011.
Yes.
So just a few generations of the BMW 3 Series later, there was a new evolution, the F30, where two design objects met for the very first time. The separate, relatively wide kidney grills met the headlight surfaces and weren't separated from the light units by side grills or body-colored surfaces. Now, this was a huge step forward in design.
Totally. Majorly groundbreaking. And, this design was also found on the 2015 7 Series, which was the first model to feature visible air flap control, the current generation of the BMW 5 Series, and the latest BMW 6 Series, both in 2017. Now, this is a design that had its eyes set on the future, and it made an awesome impression like never before.
And speaking of making a great impression on the environment, just 2 years later in 2013, the BMW i3 not only was an innovative electric vehicle, something new for the time, but also the kidney grille design fully left its original technical function behind. So the flat, relatively wide twin kidney grille appears here with closed surfaces, blue headlights, making it look super aerodynamic.
Amazing. And a very similar design of the twin kidney grille on the BMW i3 is also found on the BMW i8. And it's also the inspiration for all the forthcoming fully electric BMW models.
A real trendsetter for design and for the environment.
Totally. You got that right, Sarah.
Only a few more stops along our timeline until we get back to the present, but we do need to make a quick stop in 2018 to talk about the BMW 8 Series and the BMW Z4.
Totally. So in two current cutting-edge BMW vehicles, the twin kidney grille gained a new angular outline. It's super geometric. They now form a horizontally positioned, very wide pentagon. Small bars in the body color connect the grilles laterally to the headlights.
And as with all newer BMW coupes, their sportiness is clear with the grilles that open out downward, taking the visual focus of the front lower and closer to the road. And also, these grilles serve as secondary air intakes with active air flap control that opens when necessary and closes to reduce air resistance. In this design, they truly thought of everything.
Most definitely. And the grilles look pretty awesome as well, if you ask me.
Exactly.
Okay, moving on to 2020 with the BMW 4 Series Coupe. The most significant part of its sporty design is the large, upright, and forward-leaning BMW grille on the front of the vehicle.
Yeah, after all of this time traveling, a look back shows the evolution of the grille and just how much the new BMW 4 Series Coupe follows the legendary sports car tradition. For example, if you look at the BMW 328 Coupe from the 1930s or the BMW 3.0 CS from the 1970s, the 4 Series directly follows their path.
Exactly. You can see it from beginning to end. The new BMW 4 Series Coupe really is the essence of the BMW brand.
But you know, Jonathan, our time travel wouldn't be complete without going back in time once more.
Are you feeling a little bit reminiscent, Sarah?
Yeah, maybe a little.
All right. Let's go back to 2018 and 2019.
Yes, let's do that. Okay, so in two Vision vehicles, BMW provided a glimpse of how the BMW grille, the brand's primary identity feature, could look in future models.
Yes. So I guess we have to go back in time a little to see the future. Am I right?
Yeah, something like that. Something like that.
So in the all-electric BMW Vision iNext, the twin kidney grille takes the form of a further development of the grille from the BMW i3, with a trial given to a striking single break of the usual center bar.
Yes, that's right. So behind the closed surface of the grille, cameras, sensors, and other technologies for assisted and automated driving are hard at work.
Sounds super cool.
Yeah, it is. So internally, this solution is known as shy tech. So that's high tech that works in secret. And it's kind of funny, right? And meanwhile, in the BMW Vision M Next hybrid sports car, the kidney grille takes the shape of a sculpturally pronounced glass-enclosed kidney grille that emerges directly from the front of the vehicle. It's really a no-holds-barred style with surfaces featuring engraved and stylized BMW logos. And Jonathan, what really is amazing is the illumination of the grille, and a color gradient inside it further heightens this 3D effect.
This sounds so futuristic.
Yeah, it's super cool. And who knows if maybe one day we'll see that effect on the road as well.
I mean, time will tell. And a time travel to the future where we may recognize something from the past or present day. Wait, now I'm getting confused.
Yeah, me too. Don't worry about it. Okay, so how about taking this opportunity to just wrap up this episode? All this time travel is really getting to my head.
Exactly. It could be like getting jet lag from time travel, maybe.
Is that a thing? Can you get
be.
jet lag from travel? Maybe. Anyway. All right, everyone. This brings us to the end of this week's podcast episode. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Changing Lanes.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe to our podcast for future episodes.
And as always, to dive deeper into all things BMW, do visit our website. Just head on over to bmw.com where you can learn lots more.
I'm Jonathan.
And I am Sarah, traveling back and forward through time.
And this has been Changing Lanes.
See See you next time.